Another day, another trip through the town of Derry, Maine, and more reasons to not move into Derry, Maine after watching this episode. Like, Derry, Maine is probably just an absolute trash place. If it were real, it'd be an absolute trash place to live. Probably. I'm just basing that off of what happened in this episode. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Daniel Strung from QuickTime Reactions, and welcome back to Noobs for Horror October, where I, a relative noob in the world of horror, take you down this long and winding road of spooks and scares throughout the month of October. Now, I'm going to be uploading two reviews that'll probably end up coming out on November 1st, but I still wanted to include these in Noobs for Horror October because it seemed only fitting, and I watched both of them on Halloween. But the first thing that we're going to talk about is It, Welcome to Derry, Episode 2, which was entitled The Thing in the Dark. This one was, of course, directed by Andy Muschietti and was written by Austin Guzman. The Hanlons have now reunited in the town of Derry. Of course, Leroy, he was already there on the base, as we saw in the previous episode. But his wife and son, Charlotte and Will, have now joined him, and they start to notice that things don't seem right. I mean, Leroy already kind of experienced that a little bit with his encounter at the base, but Charlotte has noticed some things, and Will has noticed some things as well. Meanwhile, Lily Bainbridge and Ronnie try and figure out, what exactly happened to their best friends after their little encounter at the theater. But they also have their own little encounters as well with it. And so, how will this change their dynamic, and what relationships will they forge, and which will break? So, just off the bat, this was a really, really fun episode. This was really, really good. Lots of unique things that I have never seen before. And one thing that I find very, very interesting. So, let's just go ahead and break it down. I'm going to break it up into kid plot and base plot. So, with the kid plot, Lily and Ronnie, like I said, are trying to figure out, what's happened with their friends. Meanwhile, the town is, trying to basically pin it on somebody. And the guy that they're going to pin it on is Hank, the movie theater projectionist, who was also there the night that Maddie disappeared as well. They're just going to try and put it on him. But the police chief is having a bit of trouble trying to do that because, well, there's a solid alibi there. But I believe it was, I forget one of the persons in this, but I know the other one was was a councilman, and basically they kind of strong arm him into like saying, hey, you got to do what you got to do, or come next election, we're going to find somebody that will do what they are going to do if you don't sort this out. And so, police chief has a chat with Lily, and, it's basically trying to get a confession out of her, saying that, Hank was there on the night of the incident. And Lily is steadfast, saying, no, no, he wasn't there. And police chief was like, well, if you're saying that he wasn't there, then rumors start to spread around town, and you know people will start pointing towards you, and with you being there, and it's only a matter of time before you end back up in Juniper Hill. So that's just how it's gonna be, unless you are absolutely 100% positive that Hank wasn't there on the night of the incident. And sure enough, we cut to Hank being arrested and Ronnie being really, really pissed off at Lily for what happened. Before all that stuff had happened, Ronnie had her own encounter with it. She had a picture of her mom on, I think, a nightstand, and when she pulls the covers over her bed to try and kind of block out her dad and her grandma arguing about, what's good for her, so on and so forth, when she tries to pull the sheets back off, they don't, and it just keeps going and going and going, and sure enough, the view starts to change. It becomes a little bit more red. The sheet doesn't look like a sheet. It looks more like skin. And there's water filling up the space. And eventually Ronnie is able to break free. But she was breaking free of her mom's womb. And, of course, the mom, who's actually is basically saying all this stuff, all this really, really bad stuff, like your father's gonna die and you're responsible for it, kind of stuff. And she tries to bring her back inside her womb with this really weird, toothy monster, which was not pretty and was rather disgusting. It was really disgusting. But Ronnie is able to survive her encounter with it. The next day at school, Lily and Ronnie are talking about this. Meanwhile, Lily's friend Marge is, trying to ride that fine balance of, being friends with Lily, but also being with the cool kids, the patty cakes. And she's more leaning towards being with the patty cakes than anything else. Also, I love while Lily and Ronnie are talking, like, the patty cakes are doing like their like secret handshake stuff, and it's like building and building and building and building to a crescendo, and it stops when Ronnie is like saying to Lily, "You know exactly what happened, and whatever you tell the cops and all that stuff is bullshit." And once she says bullshit, it stops, and teacher's like, "You come with me right now," and she gets herself detention. Ronnie, that is, anyway. But Lily doesn't walk away unscathed. She goes shopping for some groceries because her mom is working a double shift, and slowly but surely you start seeing people like look over, smiling, like from across different aisles. See shelves starting to move, like she's trying to get boxed in. It almost reminded me of another Stephen King book, The Shining, where like Jack and Danny are in the hedge maze. I got major Shining vibes from that, until she comes to a dead end and she sees all these boxes of cereal, and Maddie's face is on one, Susie's face is on another, and Phil and Teddy are on another box. She tries to run away, but then she's boxed in by all these pickle jars. And she starts to hear a voice, and then a face shows up in one of the pickle jars. And I thought it was going to turn into a pickle man. No, it was more of a pickle squid, because all the jars fall off. The pickle squid forms itself and gets really close to Lily. It looked absolutely disgusting, but of course that wasn't real. At least it wasn't real to the adults looking on, because it appears as though she just flung a jar of pickles onto the ground. And so Lily is, of course, taken back to Juniper Hill to undergo some psychiatric analysis to see if she's well. Meanwhile, on the base, Leroy and his family are slowly but surely kind of getting more acquainted with the town. Will is having a bit of trouble at school, not only because he's a new kid, but because he's also black as well. Charlotte is going around town. She stops by a butcher's shop, but notices one kid getting bullied. And, the butcher's like, well, boys will be boys. That's just how it is. Charlotte actually goes to stop it from happening, but isn't quite able to do so. She does get them to stop for a little bit, but not for long, because they immediately chase after that kid, and everyone is giving her side looks like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And Leroy is also trying to figure out, what exactly happened to him the night previous. And, he's trying to, figure out all this information. And he goes to the one racist dude that kind of disrespected him a little bit, Sergeant Masters. And he basically told him, look, this is the gun that you pointed in my face. Don't worry, it's unloaded. However, this is a fully loaded magazine. Now, I've dealt with guns like this when I served overseas in, I think he said North Korea, or no, South Korea. I think it was South Korea. And he's like, I've seen drill sergeants struggle with that gun to load it and to cock it back. And yet you had no problems doing that. And I don't think you were the one that was in my room. Yes, I still think you are a racist, but you weren't the one that was in my room. And to prove that, Masters grabs the gun, has trouble loading it, have trouble cocking it back, and Leroy is like, I knew it. You weren't the one in my room. And so he goes and tells this to the person above him, which is General Shaw. And General Shaw basically, without saying that he was involved in it, basically infers that yes, he was the person there, and was basically testing Leroy to see if he was able to come aboard a super secret project, which he did pass. That super secret project is actually being worked on by one Dick Halloran. Yes, the character that is being portrayed by, let me find the actor's name, Chris Chalk. He is playing Dick Halloran in the series, and basically using his shining ability, he's basically trying to find something that is located in Derry. We actually, I think, probably noticed a little bit of his shining when they were in a bar a guy is approaching their table, and Halloran is like, I think we should head out, guys, without even the dude saying a word. So I'm assuming that Halloran was using his shine to basically kind of read the dude's thoughts and being like, all right, it's time to head out. But Shaw says that this project that they are working on, I can't remember the name of the project, but this project is trying to find something that landed in Derry a long time ago and can use fear to, basically uses fear inside of one person's brain to basically get them to self-destruct, essentially. That they're trying to find objects that can help control this thing so that they can use it to their advantage. Now, I do believe that they are trying to find it. More specifically, I think they're trying to find the deadlights. Because if I remember correctly, the deadlights are kind of like the source of its power. I could be like 100% wrong on this, so let me know down in the comments if I'm missing something. But this is how I interpreted it: is that they're searching for the deadlights. Like, that is what they're searching for, to try and get its control. And basically, at the end of the episode, they come across a really, really old car that has a whole bunch of like dead gangsters inside of it, and Shaw says that they're getting really, really close, and that is where the episode ends. So I find it very interesting that the government is trying. They know what it is, and they're basically trying to find a way to gain control over it, to use it against our enemies at that time, which I find very, very fascinating. And I can't wait to see how they further that, as well as with the kid plot for the next episode, which I'm very excited to see. But yeah, that is pretty much it for my review slash recap of episode 2 of It, Welcome to Derry. Like I said, I'm very excited with the directions that they are going with in this episode and the series so far, anyway. And I'm very excited to check out episode 3 whenever that decides to come out. But until then, guys, be safe out there. And my suggestion is if you are a person of color, if Derry, Maine were a real town, don't move there. Because not only do you have to deal with a shape-shifting demonic figure, but you also have to deal with racism. So my suggestion, don't move to Derry, Maine. Just don't. And I will catch you guys next time.